Hi, this is Caleb Furrow with Furrow Productions. This is my first video from my blog, and I think I'll start by saying I would like to apologize for, the setup. The lighting's pretty poor, stuff like that. I'm at my parents' house, it's vacation, so I don't really have everything that I would like to have with me at this moment. So, being as it's my first video blog, I thought I would start with sharing with you guys what kind of equipment I use for my stuff. Due to being a poor college student, I actually don't have a lot of really high-end stuff. Most of my stuff is budget related, and I gotta meet budget as a college student, which is nothing, might I add you. Most of my equipment I bought in one lump sum. So I've done a lot of research. The first piece of equipment, and probably one of the most important, is my body. I actually have a Canon Rebel T3i or 600D, whichever one you want to go by. And it's actually what's shooting right now, so I'm not going to show it to you. I actually did a lot of research on that one. And basically, I was trying to decide, did I want to go with the T3i or did I want to go with the 60D? After a lot of debate and the only thing I really miss about the 60D is the battery. The battery in the 60D is much better than the T3i. Having that said, I figure we'll just go right into my equipment outside of that. I'm using a mic right now, and you can tell it's not a great quality. I actually bought this when I was shooting something for a guy and did some audio stuff, and it was really on the fly. So what I had to go with was, there's a Radio Shack. So I went to Radio Shack and bought this little lapel for like 10 bucks, and it goes straight into the camera. So that's a good thing. So I'm going to go to lenses next because lenses are an extremely important part of making DSLR video. One of the most important parts, actually. It's a great investment you can make. I'll start with the stock one that's actually shooting right now. It's the stock lens that came with the camera. It was my first lens. Once again, trying to go cheap. I got the Canon 18 to 55 mil, 3.5 to 5.6. It's a okay lens. I struggle with it because need really good lighting. You can't really get really close on a subject. You can't get really wide. It's kind of this in-between lens to fit kind of whatever. I don't like using it. I'm using it now because I'd rather show you the other ones I've got. The next lens, we will go to this one right here. Now, thanks, Caleb Pike over at DSLRvideoshooter.com actually gave me this idea. And when I was looking at it this summer, I was like, what lenses should I get? Everything was really high, really pricey. And I was really searching for something pretty cheap. And Caleb Pike actually suggested these old school lenses. Like the FD lenses. So I went online and I did more research, and because of how cheap they were and how I was just kind of getting started, I decided to go with them. A few things that I would like to say about it. This is a Canon 50mm 1.8 FD lens. I like the build quality is great, and I love having the aperture ring on the outside right there. But one of the things I don't like about it, and the focus ring is real smooth. One of the things I don't like about it, or a few of the things I don't like about it is, one, you can't go wide all the way out to 1.8. You get this glow effect to it, and it really is kind of frustrating. So you got to go a full f-stop up to 2.8 just for the glow to go away. So then at that point, you're kind of struggling. The other thing is, with the FD lenses, I want to specify that, the adapter that you buy with it actually has an additional crop factor to it, 1.6 I believe. So a 50 mil is actually a really tight shot with both the APS-C sensor and the adapter ring. You're looking at like a 3 times crop factor, 3x crop factor. So that's kind of frustrating. So you got to get really wide primes. So having that said, I actually I don't use the 50 mil much because it's so tight. Even though it can go down to 2.8, it's just, I have to have the right use for it. This is another one of the FD lenses. It's a 28 mil and it goes down to 2.8. So you got to f-stop it up to 4. And it's got the same issues basically, but it's with the crop factor, it's a little bit wider. So I like that one. And here's a funny one. This one right here is a Canon 28 mil that goes down to 2.8. Now, I bought it thinking it was an FD lens. And it came in and it was actually an MD mount, an Alta MD mount. And so I decided I'd keep it in case I ever found an adapter for cheap. I'd go ahead and get it and I'd have a good little lens on me. And it's been a long time, and I actually asked for it for Christmas. So I got the MD lens adapter, and this has actually become my favorite lens. And here's why. Unlike the FD mounts, you can open it up at a full 2.8. Sometimes you have to go a little stop down to 4, but most of the time I can go 2.8. And the other big thing is there's no crop factor to it. So if you do the math, with an APS-C sensor, a 28 mil gives you about a 50 mil lens, and most of you guys know, I would hope, that a 50 millimeter lens is actually the closest to what the human eye perceives. And so it's been found as that. So once again, it's become my favorite lens. One thing I will say, with the MD mounts, be very careful, because a lot of them, the adapters to EOS, actually don't focus to infinity. And that's kind of a pretty big deal. You can get away with it in certain situations, but I would suggest doing your research and getting one that focuses to infinity. The next one is actually one I just recently bought. It's a 75 to 300 millimeter EOS. It's not a converted mount. It's a EOS mount. But it's the Canon 75 to 300 mil 4 to 5.6. It's an older one, meaning it doesn't have image stabilization, but I got it for a ridiculously cheap price. I got it 50 bucks. It has automatic focus, but no image stabilization. Meaning, if I'm trying to shoot anything, I got it for sporting events, because I work for my university, and I do a lot of sports broadcasting stuff. And so I got it so I could do that kind of stuff. And I was a little frustrated because without a tripod or a monopod or anything, you can't really zoom in because it has no IS and it looks really bad. So the best option you have with this lens is either getting a tripod and using it, or use it for photos, use it for stills. It's great for that. But I really enjoy it. So those are my lenses. I have 5 of them, and they do a good job for me for the most part. Oh, also about these old school FD-MD mount lenses. No image stabilization and no automatic focus. So, which isn't a huge deal because manual focus is what you're going to use when you're shooting video. Let's be honest. But the image stabilization is actually kind of tricky. You always want to have some sort of support, and that's what I'm going to go to next, my support. But if you don't have support, the best, sometimes it'll give you that shaky footage feel that you might like for certain situations. But if you don't have it, I would say shoot a little bit wide, a little bit wider than you normally would, so that when you go into post, if you have the CS 5.5 After Effects, you can warp stabilize it and get a little bit of the shakiness out. Not great, but if you have to, that's a good one you can do. So on to what I use for support. Outside of freehand, which I don't like doing, I actually have this little nifty little tripod, ball head mount tripod. And you know what? I got the idea when I was shooting over in Thailand, and a guy over there named Chris Sinclair taught me a lot about this stuff. And he had one of these, and he said it's so versatile, and that's why he bought it. And it's very sturdy. All you do, you pop out the legs like this, and then you can screw it in. And you can put it on a rock, you can put it on anything. When you don't want to use it, you fold it up, and you can actually flip it over like this, and you can use it to hold the camera and operate like this. It's a real nifty little tool, and it really helps in a jam. It just screws right into the camera. So it's probably what I use the most because it's so quick, light, and it really helps in doing that. The next thing, actually another thing that came from Caleb Pike over at DSLR Video Shooter, is the Cowboy Studio rig. And it's actually a shoulder mount that attaches right here to the back, and your camera's going to sit about right here. And it's a really, really good way if you're trying to do a run and gun type style shoot. And it really, really does help a lot. I don't use it all the time just because, to be honest, it kind of makes me feel a little self-conscious about myself. But, you know, that's not a huge deal. I like to use it when, like I said, run and gun, sporting events, stuff like that. It really helps. The next thing I want to talk about is lens hood, an eyepiece. Where I find it useful is on bright sunny days when I'm shooting. It allows me to get real close in on my screen. And all you do is it comes up to the eye like this, and one, you get magnification, and two, you don't have all that sun glare coming in. So that's a really big help to me. Not a really great one right here. I think I spent $40-50 on it, so it's not great, but once again, for eliminating sunlight, that's a huge help. The next thing I would say is very important, especially if you're starting out, is battery packs. Especially with the T3i, the battery that comes with it is not great. It doesn't last very long, so I would say go out and get a few extra batteries. They're a huge help. The other little thing I found was it's a universal charger, and it's actually a car charger. And I got this on one of my shoots where I actually forgot to bring extra batteries. I know it sounds very unprofessional, and I was very upset with myself. And it was actually an hour-and-a-half drive, so it's not like I could just go back and grab new batteries. So I went to my local Batteries Plus store and found a universal charger. And originally I went in and I thought, I'll buy it, keep the receipt, give it back. But I ended up using it, and I was like, this is a great little tool because it's actually a car charger. So I just keep it and I use it on mobile shoots. I have a few batteries so that when I'm using one, I have another one charging and just keep cycling it. So that's what I have there. So that's my gear. It's very budgeted. There's not a lot of stuff that I spent really expensive. Everything was under $50 except for this lens and the camera itself. So I will put as much stuff as I can up because a lot of it's not for sale anymore. But I will put up what I can onto the page and links to where you can buy it or just as close as I can find to that product. And I'll post them in the post. So thank you very much for watching. Caleb Furrow with Furrow Productions.